Hospitals, places of healing, of hope. We trust our lives to the doctors and nurses within their walls. But what happens when that trust is shattered? Bobbie Sue Terrell, a registered nurse, was entrusted with the care of the elderly and vulnerable. She was supposed to be their guardian angel, their advocate. Instead, she became their nightmare, a silent predator hiding in plain sight. Terrell worked at a nursing home in St. Petersburg, Florida. Her patients were at the twilight of their lives, many frail and dependent on her care. They expected compassion, a gentle hand to guide them through their final days. Instead, they received a death sentence, delivered by the very person sworn to protect them. The betrayal of trust is perhaps the most chilling aspect of Terrell's crimes. Nurses hold a unique position of power. They have access to medications, intimate knowledge of their patients' vulnerabilities, and often work with minimal supervision, particularly during night shifts. This trust is sacred, the foundation upon which the entire medical profession is built. Bobbie Sue Terrell took that trust and twisted it into a weapon. As investigators delved into Terrell's life, a disturbing psychological profile began to emerge. A pattern of manipulation, a craving for attention, and a desire to control life and death itself. Could this be a case of Munchausen syndrome by proxy? Munchausen syndrome by proxy, or MSBP, is a rare and dangerous form of factitious disorder. In these cases, a caregiver, often a parent, will fabricate or induce illness in another person, typically a child, to gain attention and sympathy. The caregiver becomes the victim's savior, garnering praise for their tireless devotion. But behind this facade lies a sinister reality. The caregiver is the perpetrator of the very suffering they claim to alleviate. While typically seen in mothers and their children, could MSBP explain Terrell's actions? Was she drawn to the power dynamic, the ability to control the lives of her vulnerable patients? Did the attention and concern she received from colleagues as she discovered these medical crises fuel her dark desires? The methods employed by Bobbie Sue Terrell were chillingly simple, yet effective. Insulin, a life-saving medication for diabetics, became her weapon of choice. Administered incorrectly, or to those without the need for it, insulin can cause a rapid and fatal drop in blood sugar. Terrell, with her nursing background, knew this all too well. She understood how to manipulate dosages to induce a medical crisis that mimicked natural causes. Her victims, already frail and elderly, stood little chance against this silent attack. But Terrell's reign of terror didn't end with insulin injections. She allegedly used other means to harm her patients, her methods growing bolder, more reckless. Some reports suggest she tampered with medical equipment, while others whisper of unexplained accidents on her watch. And as suspicions grew, so too did her desperation to cover her tracks. Section 4. Justice and its Aftermath. The investigation into Bobbie Sue Terrell's crimes was complex and chilling. Whispers of her strange behavior, of unexplained patient deaths, finally reached the ears of authorities. The pieces of the puzzle slowly began to fit together, revealing a sinister pattern of manipulation and murder. Facing overwhelming evidence, including a notebook documenting patient deaths and her access to insulin, Terrell ultimately pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder. This plea bargain, while sparing her a possible death sentence, ensured she would spend decades behind bars. In 1985, Bobbie Sue Terrell was sentenced to 65 years in prison. The families of her victims, forever scarred by her actions, found a sliver of solace in the knowledge that she could no longer harm the innocent. Yet, the question lingered. How could someone entrusted with such responsibility commit such unspeakable acts? Section 5. Unanswered Questions and Systemic Failures. The case of Bobbie Sue Terrell sent shockwaves through the medical community. It forced hospitals and nursing homes to confront a chilling possibility. Could it happen here? Were there systemic failures, vulnerabilities within the healthcare system itself, that allowed her to operate undetected for so long? The investigation revealed potential oversights in background checks, lax supervision, and a culture of silence that may have allowed Terrell's actions to go unchecked. The case became a tragic reminder of the importance of vigilance, of whistleblowing, and of the need for robust safeguards to protect patients from those who would do them harm. While Bobbie Sue Terrell's reign of terror has ended, the scars of her crimes remain. The families of her victims continue to grapple with their loss, haunted by the knowledge that their loved ones' final days were filled with unimaginable suffering. and the medical community is left to learn from this tragedy, striving to ensure that such a horrific breach of trust never happens again. Subscribe to Scrubbed Secrets for more.